Hey, welcome back, everybody. ToiletsToTitles again. Justin Stevens, and I'm here for episode number 152, Week 11 NFL preview. And yeah, that's right. If you're watching on YouTube, you get to see a familiar face come back on stage with me. We have the one and only, the great Nate Whalen. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. It feels good to be back. It's I haven't been able to join you this year. The time zone thing kind of throws us for a loop, so I was pumped to be able to do it, and hopefully Finley will behave, and we'll be good to go for an hour. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah, Finley's the man. He doesn't know it yet, but he's the man. Right on. Okay, so we do have a special episode for you tonight with Nate on, but also I want to let you guys know there is a reason why Coach isn't with us tonight. We're going to go over that in a little bit. We got a little special surprise for a special somebody, but let's see. It says, who wins this trade? We're already at it. We're already with the comments here, Nate.
I know, I like it.
The injured Cup and Kenneth Walker for Foreman and Olave. So injured Cup and Kenneth Walker for Foreman and Olave. So I'm assuming this is a redraft because you're a no-brainer keeping the Cup and Walker in a dynasty. So so here's the thing. We're going to talk a little bit more about the injury to Cooper Kupp, but I'm really concerned about this Cooper Kupp injury for fantasy purposes because if he misses 4 more weeks, like he's on IR, bare minimum 4 weeks, right? So if he misses 4 more weeks and the Rams continue to suck and lose for 4 more weeks, what is the motivation to bring him back? It's scary. For redraft, it is super scary. If I have Kupp, I'm trying to sell him no matter what.
Yeah, I don't think, to be honest, I don't know why he would come back at this point. I mean, their offense is abysmal. They can't run the football. Matt Stafford looks like he's just like, you know what, I'm going to take the week off because I'm tired of getting the heck beat out of me. To be honest, I'm keeping Kupp and Kenneth Walker just because I think Walker's a better asset than Donta Foreman and Chris Olave. I like Chris Olave dynasty-wise, but I don't know who's the quarterback going to be week to week. It sounds like they're kind of not sure what they want to do. I think Kenny Walker's the one. That's my way anyways. That's how I think.
He did confirm it's redraft. Look at it this way. If you absolutely had to cut Cooper Kupp and pick somebody up to add to Kenneth Walker, then it's even better on that side. So yeah, I agree with you completely. Yeah, Steve, we found this jabroni on the streets out in Illinois, just wandering around.
Playing in the snow.
Yeah, playing in the snow, shoveling the snow. All those Florida guys on our team don't have any idea what we're talking about.
No.
All right. So before we get too far deep into it, I do want to read a 5-star review that we have from a listener, B Rhodes. It's actually, his name is Brandon. First time listener here. He said he found our podcast from Coach Seps on Twitter. He loves the content. We're very knowledgeable, and he's looking forward to listening to more. So this was a recent 5-star review as well. So Brandon, we appreciate you very much.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And thank you for following Coach Sheps on Twitter as well. But also don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at JustinFF_. JustinFF_, not store, not yet. I'm not selling crap yet. And at ToiletsToTitles for the main show. And then I do have a little ticker down here for our boy Nate at Nate_Dirt19. Let's see what else we got in the comments here.
It's just Steve.
Should I still? Oh, okay, yeah. So Nate beat me. Steve beat me this week. Uncle Steve beat me this week. And he's asking you for advice because he knows I'm not going to give him the honest stuff. I almost cussed, but you got the boy back there. So Nate,
it's fine.
He
doesn't understand it yet.
Well, also this isn't T to TF.
This isn't Wednesday nights when we say a few more words than the S word.
Tell me a little bit more about that because that's one of my favorite shows going.
Oh yeah. So Wednesday nights around 9:30, 10 o'clock Central Time. Myself, Rich, who is another member, and then Abe Olson. We have a little gambling show we do, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of it was a little more censored, and then we decided, since if you're gambling, you're probably 18 to 21 years old anyways. So we kind of let loose. And since our teams have been reeling, it's been pretty fun to just let her rip and say all the things you want to say about your team. So yeah, we'd love you guys to tune in. We've been doing pretty decent too as far as picks go, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun. Check it out
for sure. So Steve
night.
wants to know, should he steal Josh Jacobs from me and give me back Connor, even though the Cardinals cut Benjamin?
I don't. That's a tough one, just because Josh Jacobs has, he did really well for 3 weeks. He ran for over 140 yards for 3 weeks, and then Josh McDaniels was like, well, we're not going to run the football anymore or something. Connor's been injured. I don't know why they cut Benjamin. I'm pretty sure his average yards per carry lately have been better than Keontae Ingram and James Conner, but maybe something else.
I think it might have more to do with Keontae Ingram, to be honest with you. And Steve,
I'm a big Keontae Ingram fan. I know that. I love Keontae Ingram.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I know this doesn't bode well for my side because I obviously want to keep Josh Jacobs. But Keontae Ingram, I think, is probably the real deal. And I think that they believe that and they see that, and they're going to start giving him more carries instead of and so that's why they cut maybe there's a respect level there, and they wanted to give him a chance to go somewhere else where he might have an opportunity. And it happened. He did get signed by the Houston Texans today, a place where they need the depth, where he might be able to get some playing time. So I mean, personally, Steve, if I'm you, I would take Josh Jacobs from me and give me James Conner. And also, I don't even really like James Conner on top of all of that. So,
I wonder what the other options are. Like I said, neither one of those offenses is good. I mean, the Cardinals look good finally. Maybe they're going to be better with Colt McCoy going forward. I don't know how long that lasts, but
there really aren't any other options on my roster, man. My roster sucks. I'm 5-5, and every time I do win, I win against a team that gives me crap players. The only other option would have been Goddard, but now we found out today that he's hurt. So, what can you do?
I guess you got to do it then, Steve. I mean, it's not a bad move, and who knows what's going to happen going forward? Who knows if they show up this week?
I think the only downside for him is that he only has left to steal, I think, if I'm remembering right, a quarterback, a super flex, and a flex. And if he takes Jacobs now, then he's got to rely on being able to take quarterbacks with those last couple rounds. But if he faces those guys and they bench their players, then he doesn't really get much of anything from them. So he's limiting his options by using up his last flex on Jacobs. I think it's probably where his debate in his head is coming. But in my mind, I feel like you gotta get the players when you can get the players.
I don't look that far ahead. I'm a now guy. I don't look back. I don't look forward right now.
How you doing in Frankensteak?
7-3 now. I just lost last week. I was rolling, and then he just stole Dalvin Cook and gave me DeAndre Swift, which isn't the worst thing ever. But Cooper Kupp's hurt. Deebo Samuel's been terrible. Jalen Waddle's been up and down. But my quarterbacks are on bye this week, so I almost won with just Ryan Tannehill. But next week it'll be Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson back, so that helps.
Yeah.
So
it was a big loss.
Well, it was Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen got stolen, but it's okay.
That's the Frankenstein for you, man.
Yep.
Now at the bottom, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you get our episodes as soon as they come live. And then, of course, the 5-star Apple podcast review. Those are very important because it helps the algorithm for Apple. And after we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which we're really close to, that's going to be our next target goal, is to build up that Apple podcast. So those 5-star reviews really help us with that. So whether you've given us one in the past, go ahead and give us another one. If you've never given us one, or you have family members that have phones laying around, grab their phones, punch in a 5-star review for us, help us out. We greatly appreciate you guys. Also find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Twitch, 2 Facebook pages now, one where we buy, sell, trade sports memorabilia, and then one that's just straight up ToiletsToTitles Facebook, and then, of course, Spotify. You guys will notice the background that I have on my green screen today. It's a Thanksgiving Day squares board. It's kind of works like Super Bowl squares, only you don't have to wait for another 3 months. It's going to be the Cowboys and the Giants, if I remember properly, on Thanksgiving Day. So I know this isn't the Thanksgiving episode, so next week's background will probably be more themed towards Thanksgiving, I'm sure. But I wanted to get this board up because I wanted you guys to see they're $5 a square. We have been keeping a running tally here. We currently have 28 squares left. I anticipate that we're going to have those sold by next week. They're $5 a square, so please make sure you hit us up at ToiletsToTitles, at JustinFF underscore, or at Coach Sheps. Let us know if you want a square, and we'll get you taken care of here.
Is that with the number I sold? I think I sold like, I don't know, 10 or 12 of them last night too. So I don't know if that is the new count or if that's after what I sold. So.
There was a large chunk of them taken out today. So there's a
okay. Yep, good.
That's probably what that was.
Yep.
So Nate, if you don't mind, can you read the next little section there where we talk about our upcoming schedule? Because my dog needs to go out.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on.
So we have a packed schedule now. We kind of actually been changing things. The Monday night waiver wire episode we were doing, we were just kind of all throwing in, 3 guys apiece, 2-3 guys apiece for the waiver wire episode that went to our Patreon supporters only, which has actually been a lot of fun to do. But we switched it up. Now we're doing, a couple guys to trade for right now, guys to trade away, maybe some quarterback streaming options. So it's actually a lot more dialed in to what you kind of need going forward through the playoffs. So, he said, join the Patreon and get that. I do believe we did release that waiver episode last week or the week before to everybody on all our platforms. So if you want to check it out, see what you'd be getting, please do so. Tuesday nights, obviously right here, the flagship show with Justin and John, and tonight me. And then H is the IDP show, which is right after this with Nino, Jared, and Russ. Wednesday mornings, bright and early, 6:30 a.m. Down in our Dynasty. And then Wednesday nights is Joe Knows with Joe himself and a little NFL discussion. And then Rich, Abe, and I after that. Friday nights is the Awesome Injury Show with Justin and Joe. And then P2P is our NCAA Devy Talk show after that. Saturday nights, Dash DFS, Mike and Joe. And I just forgot the other guy's name. Feel bad now. And then Sunday mornings, always the Blitz. If you're not listening to that before you set your lineups, I mean, it's crazy because it is a great show. It's packed. It's like sometimes 2 hours long. There's tons of questions. And even if they've already answered, ask it again, they'll say it again. So it's a blast. Check it out.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I love the Blitz every Sunday morning. I get advice from them, and I'm even sometimes a fill-in guest for them as well. So we're all here to help each other out for sure. This week's buys on the slate: the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, the Seahawks, and the Jaguars are all on bye this week. Your major players there are a couple of Tampa Bay wide receivers, maybe. Lenny Fournette went down with a hip pointer, so he's very thankful to have this bye week. Other than that, it's mainly Kenneth Walker and a whole bunch of Miami Dolphins players. Those are your maybe Travis Etienne if you've been playing him. So
and Rachaad White next week. Just wait, it's happening.
Yeah, oh, is it finally?
He had a big game last week, and I think it's here to stay.
He did, and he was looking good even before the Lenny Fournette injury, if we're being honest. And honestly, so we're just going to spill that right into the injury segment here. One of the big injuries was Leonard Fournette with that hip pointer. He's likely going to be able to suit up for Week 12 versus Cleveland, but it makes me kind of wonder, like, is he going to try to rush it back a little quicker because he knows he's losing this spot to the young buck? But they did luck out to have the Week 11 bye, but it does look like he'll be able to suit up against Cleveland in Week 12. Zach Ertz, Zach Ertz done for the season. That one, I mean, it kills me. It kills me. I love watching the guy play. His entire career has been injury plagued, but he's been able to put together a couple of decent seasons here, especially with Arizona, and you feel bad for the guy, but he's out for the year, so that brings up Trey McBride, right?
I think that's who it is. I can't remember now. I should have picked him up. I got Ertz on one of my dynasty rosters, and I was bummed to see it. So,
hey, well, the good news is Trey McBride is probably still out there, and we're going to get to him in just a little bit because he's one of my right now. Yep, he's one of my turtleheads. So, you've got to probably wait till the waivers run, I'm sure. Dallas Goedert got absolutely fleeced by the refs by them not calling a face mask penalty that ultimately could have been what caused the Eagles the game there, because they were trying to put something together finally and making a drive work, and he gets injured on the play on top of that. When are they going to allow instant replays for the majority of these plays that were blatantly obvious? Like, He obviously jerked the guy down by his face mask.
It was a terrible weekend. I mean, the 12 guys on the field for the Buffalo Bills and the Vikings still won. Didn't matter. I get the Gabe Davis catch. That happens all the time when a guy doesn't catch the ball and they, hurry up and go to the line. But like there was some stuff that was just, I mean, even against Packers Cowboys, there was some stuff, and it's like, and I know it's because the refs are like too proud. They don't want them to take the game over. But it's like we make mistakes. We're not saying that. You do a great job, but sometimes when you do a bad job, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. And you would think that the refs would want it too, because the refs' entire job is based around this idea that they're going to do all they can to try to get it right. Well, if that's the case, then let's do all we can to try to get it right. Like if you can get it right with a quick, it's not like instant replay 20 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever. It's not like you have to go to a commercial break and be gone for 6 minutes while you figure it out. Like it's real quick. New York can look at it and in 20 seconds, just pause the game and put one of those little Bud Light commercials off to the side and let us see the little picture-in-picture window and let's be on with the game. Anyway,
they need to
that's
do it like the XFL with the Xbox controller. That seemed to speed things up.
right. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And we made fun of it back in the day. Like even then we thought it was cool, but like, I mean, it makes sense. And this one hits home because Dallas Goedert is like the most owned, like, or the highest share of any player probably that I have across all my boards. And now it looks like he's most likely going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, but we don't know exactly what the injury is or what the severity of it is. We know it's the shoulder, maybe an AC joint, maybe something else. I read, I don't know. Jerry Judy, at first, that thing, dude, that looked like an Achilles, and I thought he was done for the year. Turns out, just a mild ankle sprain, and he's day to day. He's anywhere from day to day to 2 to 4 weeks. So it just kind of, he's playing it day to day right now to kind of see where they go with it. But this is another one of those things. Like if you're the Denver Broncos, you really want to push him back into the fold too quickly and get him re-injured. Young talent, so we just have to wait and see what happens there. Cooper Kupp is the big one. Obviously, this is the biggest one that's going to affect most fantasy rosters. We already kind of discussed it earlier at the top of the show, but he is going to be undergoing ankle surgery. So he's on IR for at least 4 weeks. But again, if they continue to lose for these next 4 weeks, or if he's not ready until 6 weeks and they're not in the playoff picture, like at what point do they decide, you know what, we're just going to keep him on the shelf for the rest of the season, or at least for the rest of your fantasy season? So I'm selling him everywhere I possibly can in redraft. Um, and if I'm a rebuild, I might even consider selling him in Dynasty right now, just because some people might be willing to pay up for a monster like that. You can get you some draft picks for this next up and coming season. But for all of these injury updates, we do update them almost daily on our injury doc for all the other shows that want to use the injury doc to take a look at it for their shows. And then on Friday nights with myself and George, just as Nate talked about earlier, we do TGIF. Thank God, this guy is fragile. All right, no, it's this guy is fragile. So we're going to be updating all of those, plus going along and updating you on the key dates for players that are returning from more recent injuries that have been out for a while. So that's going to be Friday nights. So Nate, anything to add to the injury news or anything like that, or any big news like Jeff Saturday taking over and being the most winningest coach percentage wise for all active coaches in the history of the NFL? You're muted.
I thought I just turned it back on. Sorry. Shaq Leonard out for the year now. That's kind of a bummer. I don't even feel like he's played, though. I just love that guy. So it kind of stinks he's done for the year.
Yeah.
But who knows? Okay, here. I don't know how to say it even. That's how I say it. He's a stud, too. So it's okay.
So here is the real reason that Coach is out. All right. Coach has a very special evening with his boy Emmett. Today is Emmett's birthday. So the ToiletsToTitles crew and anybody watching at home, you're welcome to sing along with us. But Nate and I are about to embarrass ourselves.
Yep.
And we're going to sing happy birthday to Emmett because that man deserves it. So here we go.
Heck yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Emmett. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, Finley joined the birthday party. Right on, right on. All right, so that was absolutely wonderful, and hopefully,
hopefully you get a better one later.
I'm hoping, I'm hoping we don't get hit by YouTube for stealing a. Hey, all right. Uncle Steve says happy birthday, Emmett. And Uncle Steve has met Emmett at Canton a couple times, so that's awesome. Let's see. In Frankenstank, Steve says, I have had Cup, Ertz, and Judy. So, yeah. And he made a trade to get a couple of players recently that have gotten hurt as well in our home league. So,
Steve, don't you ever trade for Nick Chubb.
you know, Nate loves his Chubb.
That's my guy.
Oh, it's Allison's birthday too? Unbelievable. Awesome. Hey, happy birthday,
Heck,
Allison.
Justin.
All right.
Happy birthday.
I'm not singing again, but I love you, kid.
Just play it back.
Yeah, there you go. Rewind and then pretend like I said Allison. But Allison's awesome. Definitely one of my favorite cousins. Let's see. All right, Patreon. Patreon.com/ToiletsToTitles, because we are 21 minutes into this thing and we still haven't really started yet.
That's fine.
Happens when coach isn't on. Like, I just lose all control of everything and all bearings. But we do want to thank our Patreon supporters for all your Patreon support. $3 gets you into the Discord chat. $5 is early access to the waiver wire episode that Nate was talking earlier about, how we've kind of shifted it up a little bit. We have a bunch of other stuff other than just the waiver wires in there. $7.50, you get one-on-one draft advice or DFS advice, since we are in DFS season right now. $10 gets you a free entry into gets you a free entry into the Frankenstank. So at the $5 level, you get invited into Frankenstank. $10 free entry. So if we have enough of those entries into the Frankenstank and we have to add another 12-man league or division to the league, we'll do it. We're already talking about adding 3 more divisions as it is. I'll go 20 divisions with this if it means our Patreons get in there. All right. $20 gives you one-on-one roster analysis and a 30-minute draft breakdown of your draft or your current situation in your league, if that's what you want. So those are our different levels for the Patreon. We thank you very much, Patreon supporters. You can find that at patreon.com/ToiletsToTitles. Now for our first real segment. How about that? And it was historically, back when you were on the show with us, this was week in and week out probably my favorite segment, because the game of the week with 3 people bouncing off of each other and the way that we would go back and forth. Now, like, Coach and I started off back and forth. These last few weeks, Coach is just kind of pulling away. But yeah, so the way the game of the week works, whatever game we choose, there's a difference in the point differential. So, like, for instance, last week I chose the Seahawks and the Buccaneers. There was a 5-point differential, so we add 5 points to my total. Whoever has the least amount of points at the end of the season wins. Last week, Coach chose the Vikings and Bills game, and that was only a 3-point differential. And so now Coach is winning by 25 points. And again, Coach got to choose first because he's always the one that sets up the dock. But honestly, if I had to choose first, I probably would have left this one for him, even though it's definitely the game of the week and I would have wanted to have it. I'm going to let him have it because it is the Coach's Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. It's a 4:25 game. Cowboys and Vikings going head to head. I believe that the Cowboys are a better team than they looked against the Packers, and they even looked like a pretty decent team against the Packers. That was a very hard-fought game. Both of those teams looked a lot better than they've looked at through most of the season. But the Cowboys with Dak Prescott haven't seemed to have really missed too much of a beat as what they had without Dak Prescott. And to Coach's point, he's saying that this definitely seems like a Cowboys sort of move where they would lose to the Packers and then turn around and beat the Packers division leaders, the Vikings, in Minnesota this weekend. So that's your divisional rival, the Vikings. So do you have anything to add about this game?
To be honest, and I'm a hater or whatever because I'm a Packers fan, but they didn't deserve to win last weekend. I don't think. There's been a couple games where they've kind of gotten away with things, letting teams hang around. That's what I was going to put on Myers. If I don't know, now I know. Darn it. Anyways, but letting guys hang around, that will get you in tons of trouble because Finley's throwing his dump truck down the stairs. Because it's just the NFL. You can't let teams hang around, and the Vikings are good, but I don't know if they're 8-1 good, to be honest with you. And I think that Cowboys team is good. I don't know. The Packers did pretty well to get away with one last weekend, so it'll be a fun game to watch.
Well, speaking of your Packers, I knew you were coming on, and if this were a weekly thing and your points actually mattered towards the season end, I would have let you have this that Packers game if you wanted it. But I think that's going to be an incredible game this weekend. I do think the Packers are going to win that game, and I got more that I'm going to talk about the Titans here in a little bit as far as their division rivalry with the Colts here, if you want to call it that at this point. Not really much of a rivalry at this point, but I do think the Packers are going to win this game. I do think that both of the defenses are very similar, in my opinion, and I think the real difference here is the more well-rounded offense for the Packers, and most of that well-roundedness comes from the quarterback position, obviously. But I think that the Packers defense can tighten up, no pun intended, on Derrick Henry and make them a little bit more of a one-dimensional team as best they can, and I think that'll be enough to make the difference in the game. But I think it's going to be an incredible game either way, and it's Thursday night football, so we've been fortunate. We did have a rough stretch there for a little bit on Thursday night football, but here recently we've had a little bit of a better run. So I feel like it's going to be another great game for Thursday night football. And do you want to talk about your Packers?
I could talk forever. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I don't know. It just feels like the Titans, if they're going to, obviously they're just going to run the football. That's what they do. That team seems pretty one-dimensional without A.J. Brown. Obviously they scored 17 points against the Broncos last weekend, which was a snoozer of a game. And I don't know if Bud Dupree's going to play. I know they've had some injuries on defense. That team is going to compete week in, week out. If we just stick to the game plan like we did last week and run the football, I think we'll come out on the right side of things. It's so tough to tell right now. To be honest, I was almost in tears last Sunday. It's been I'm so invested that it's been so tough. It sucks to lose, but it's just week in, week out. And it's finally, I didn't know what to do. I'm sitting there. I'm like, holy smokes. We did it. It was draining.
just just squeak it out at the end too. So
yeah,
nothing is better for the heart than that. So you have a game of the week for us that you slapped on here on the show notes for us. So please grace us with this.
I did for old times. I had the Jets and the Patriots just because that division is wild right now. The Bills are in third place. The Jets have looked good. They just beat the Bills 2 weeks ago. They're both coming off by the Jets and the Patriots. I don't think the Jets I think they're more of a pretender than anything, but we will see. It just depends on which offense shows up for the Patriots. I think their defense is good, but I think it should be a low-scoring slugfest. So it should be a good game, though.
I agree with you. I think they're kind of pretenders right now too, but at the same time, good for them, I'm happy for them. Even though they believe they're good, they feel like they are amazing, and their fans feel like they're going to the Super Bowl, right? Or at the very least, they're going to make a hell of a run in the playoffs. So good for them, man. That organization, they deserve this success. So good on you guys. The betting locks were also tweaked a little bit. We do have Coach Shep's betting locks, but we also got a couple that were added in from Nate because he does the betting show on Wednesday night, so it only makes sense. So what do you got for us, Coach Nate?
So locks of the week, Coach Shep's, his had a couple first. He likes the Bears +3 at the Falcons, which I do now. I was on the Falcons like crazy. They started out the year 6-7-0 against the spread. Like you say, good teams win, great teams cover. And the Falcons, all they did was cover. Now they can't. So Coach said the Falcons try to bludgeon you to death with the run, then hold on tight with their defense. I believe the Chicago Bears enforce the same game plan, but do it better. Fields is coming on and has been an absolute monster. The Bears have had some tough, close matchups and have some experience under the belt going into Week 11. He expects them to beat the Falcons straight up. I'm kind of surprised that it's they're getting points going down there, but it is in Atlanta. So I like that one too though. Another NFC North guy he likes. The Detroit Lions plus 3.5 traveling to the Meadowlands play the Giants. I like what the Giants are doing and have done, but I also can say the same about the Lions. Lions are just as scrappy as the Giants, and they're coming off a strong victory over the Bears. He thinks the Giants win this one as well, but he thinks it'll be by a field goal or less, which I don't know if I can. The Lions defense is so bad. I know they have looked good, but I think the Giants may be too much to handle. I don't know. This kind of a toss up too. I'll know more tomorrow, I think, before I do it. But yeah, I think, like I said, 3.5 is a good pick.
Of Saquon, and unfortunately, since I always go late quarterback and none of the late quarterbacks hit, I kind of have a lot of Daniel Jones as well. So I really hope the Lions suck this week.
Yeah, they probably will. They generally do. So I threw 2 in here just for fun. This one was, I actually looked at it. So I like the Panthers plus 12.5. That's a ton of points. I know the Ravens. So I said I should probably tell you to pick the Ravens. They're coming off a bye. They're 4-4-1 against the spread this season. So they haven't done 500 basically, but they're 0-2 off a bye against the spread since 2020. They lost the last 3 games, or they've lost 3 games this year by combined 11 points. So I mean, they could be 9-0 pretty easily. But their defense it's getting better, but it's been very poor. Roquan Smith helped that be better, but they just let teams hang around, and that is what will get you in the end. But I said they like to let teams hang around and mount wild comebacks. Just ask George and the Dolphins, because that was one of the most wild ones I'd ever seen. And it seems like a backdoor cover from Baker and the Panthers. I don't think the Panthers win this football game, but 12.5 points is a lot. I could see him, losing by 7. And I like the Chiefs minus 6.5 at the Chargers Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs are known non-coverers, as I call them, but the Chargers might be at the top of the list when it comes to poorly coached teams, right next to my Packers. But the Chiefs covered against the Jags, and Tony got his first touchdown, which I called on Dollars to Deuces last Wednesday. And they won a hard-fought game against the Titans. Mahomes is on a tear. He throws for 300 some yards and 4 touchdowns, and it's like, hey, keep it up, buddy, like normal. I mean, if Matt Ryan throws for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, you're like, holy smokes, like, he's back. You know what I mean? So we're just used to it. But I think Tony gets in the box again too. So I'm not against betting both of those. But yeah, I like the Chiefs minus 6.5.
Nice, very good. I'm not a betting man, but I feel like I could probably take those 4 bets right there and go win some money. So
definitely Tony, that Kadarius Tony touchdown. That's one of my favorite ones of the week, I think. Again.
Now, does that still count if it's a rushing touchdown? Because I have a feeling that they're going to start with that speed. They're going to start throwing in a little bit of that into the game plan for him. Really,
any kind. Whether it's he could be a punt return, kick return, anything.
Maybe kind of not at a Tyreek level by any means, but kind of like just a gadget player, along with being a pretty solid wide receiver from the looks of it. Yeah. All right, so the Turtleheads. I've got my my Turtleheads for this week. The first one is kind of an obvious one in my opinion. That's Trey McBride. Trey McBride is the new starting tight end for your Arizona Cardinals. Typically, I try to target guys a week or 2 in advance for this particular segment, but sometimes an injury provides an opportunity that you simply can't look past. Zach Ertz is the second most targeted tight end in the league. Clearly, I don't see McBride taking 7 targets a game by any means, but the number 12 tight end in the league is Hayden Hurst, and right now he's averaging 5 targets per game. In an offense that is designed to heavily utilize the tight end position, I kind of feel like McBride could easily be a targetable or a startable tight end for most weeks moving forward, especially with 3 defenses in the bottom 10 against tight ends during the fantasy playoffs alone. So really super nice, easy schedule for against tight ends for Trey McBride. Let us not look past the fact that on a pure talent standpoint, the only real category that Ertz has on McBride is experience. I think McBride is a more athletic version of Ertz. I know that sounds crazy. Not that Ertz was a super athletic dude, but for a tight end, he is. But I feel like McBride is a more athletic version of Ertz, and that he's really going to take off in dynasty value once people get a real good look at him with his raw ability alone. I think very highly of Trey McBride, and I feel like the only reason that he hasn't gotten more run is because they had Zach Ertz there, and Zach Ertz was performing so well. So it's one of those situations. It's a Tony Pollard situation here, and once Zeke kind of fades away, Pollard finally gets to shine. I kind of feel like it's a lot of what we're going to see here with Trey McBride moving forward. The next Turtlehead is another tight end because why not? Foster Moreau, tight end for the Vegas Raiders. With both Waller and Renfro now on IR, Moreau gets a huge bump. He also, in 4 of his next 5 games, faces a really nice stretch for opponents against tight ends. He just got 13.3 PPR points this week against a weak Colts defense against tight ends. And since Waller has been out, Moreau has gotten an 18% target share over the 4 games that Waller's been out. This is top 8 among all tight ends in the league when it comes to target share. So the Raiders aren't going to stop throwing to the tight end just because Waller is out. And then the last one here is Darius Slayton. It's kind of like my third one, and then I have a 3.5 here in a little bit. But Darius Slayton, wide receiver. I don't know why I put Washington on the dock when he plays for the New York Giants. But to finish up the season, the Giants face the Lions, Washington twice, and the Vikings. Their ranks against wide receivers are 29th, 26th twice, and 28th against wide receivers. This is by far the best remaining schedule for matchups for all wide receivers in the league, and we are treated with it being bad defenses against the Giants wide receivers of all teams, the team that doesn't even throw the ball and also has no real clear-cut wide receiver one. But
it's that Rick James guy, Richie James, Rick James.
Yeah, exactly. I'm choosing Darius Slayton. But this easily could be Wan'Dale Robinson. That's why I said maybe 3.5. It could be Wan'Dale as well, but I chose Slayton just because he is the veteran. And between he is the veteran between the two, and he's also been targeted 16 times in their last 3 games and has scored a pair of touchdowns over that time as well. So in my mind, I feel like it has to be Darius Slayton if we have to choose one. But regardless, if you're hurting at wide receiver, you had Cooper Kupp, you had Hunter Renfro as your wide receiver 3. You've got a bye week coming up this week. People need wide receivers. You got to choose one of these guys because one of them are going to pop off. So yeah, that's who I'm rolling with, Darius Slayton.
Yeah, I think Slayton looked good on that. He had like a 55 or 58-yard touchdown last week. He looked good. He looked good. What was that 2 years ago? We thought like he was gonna like break out and then just kind of disappeared for a little while. So yeah, I
think just like the rest of that team, they come and go with Saquon, right? So
yeah,
you look at it years ago because Saquon was healthy a couple of years ago. Yeah. Saquon gets hurt, now all of a sudden everybody sucks. Like he really opens up that offense. So, let's see what do we got next? What's next?
Dudes and duds. Coach Shep's dudes and duds.
That's right. So I did not
this also
on the ticker, but you are welcome to jump right in your dudes and duds.
I believe this is also put in article form on our awesome website, ToiletsToTitles.com. Check that out. Lots of good stuff on there. QBs for the dudes. This one hurts me to say. Justin knows how I feel about Justin Fields. He has been a stud for fantasy football, though. At the Falcons, Justin Fields has been a dude 3 weeks in a row, rightfully so. Fields on turf, indoors against a defense that's allowing an average of 289 yards through the air per game. Second worst in the league. Sign me up. I'm just doing that because he runs the ball. He'll probably run for 150 yards. I don't think he can throw for 280 yards, though.
I do want to say during the playoff stretch, you want to be wary because he has a very tough playoff schedule for fantasy football schedule purposes. So yeah, for this week, he's a total dude. I totally agree with that. But I'm just kind of throwing out a warning for those of you that have Justin Fields. If you're trying to look to get him, it's to try to get you into the playoffs. Okay, I'm a little bit worried that he's going to come way back down to earth once the fantasy playoffs begin.
Yeah, I am not a Justin Fields guy, and if you listen to Wednesday night show, you'll hear we let it rip about him. Anyways, next quarterback, Dak Prescott at the Vikings.
I'm pretty sure that Justin Fields' middle name is Damn It.
Maybe, probably. Oh, yeah, that's about the nicest word we say when we talk about him.
That's the nicest word I can say on this.
Yeah. Hey, I haven't said one swear word. I do. I was going to be good. I saved them all for Wednesday night. You know?
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Another game indoors on the turf. Dak had his ups and downs last week against the Packers, but it was to be expected. Coach was impressed with Dak's ability to keep chucking, even after a few interceptions due to his receivers not running their routes correctly. He expects a big game from Dak and the Cowboys offense against the Vikings team that has not played opposing QBs well. Very true. Yeah, I think Dak looked good at times last week. And like I said, there was just some miscommunication or something. It was weird. Running back Saquon Barkley versus the Detroit Lions. Hell yeah, Saquon. When we get to the dud section, you'll see me discuss a player who is candidate for dud of the year. Barkley, on their hand, is running for dude of the year. Quan is absolutely balling and is the face of a resurging Giants team. Lions play the run poorly and all defensive things poorly. And Barkley will have big holes to run through this week. I would see him. I would be a safe bet him for 2 touchdowns on the ground, no doubt. I just think he's going to destroy this defense.
I hope he goes all Bundy with it and gets 4.
Dude, yeah, why not, dude? You know, didn't Dalvin Cook do that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, no, I mean, it happens.
Yeah. Kenyon Drake at the Panthers. Last week, the Ravens showed they believed in Drake by giving him 24 carries, and Kenyon responded by delivering 93 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. The Panthers' defense is allowing 24 points per game to opposing running backs, and this week, Kenyon Drake will be the beneficiary. Yeah, I think so.
Good pick.
CeeDee Lamb at the Vikings. Besides a few route-running blunders in Week 10, Lamb had an exceptional outing against Packers defense and is strong against the pass. We're playing in very cold conditions at Lambeau. He'll be indoors this week. He'll be facing a Vikings defense giving up an average of 32 points weekly to opposing wide receivers this season. I think that was actually CeeDee's best game of his career last week.
Oh, yeah.
Like 100 and some yards and 2 touchdowns, which I like I said in the chat a couple days ago, like it was wild to me that he hasn't had a 100-yard receiving game.
Yeah. But him and Christian Watson both decided to have a little party.
Yeah, Christian Watson got the gorilla off his back. Thank God.
Yeah.
It was fun to see. Adam Thielen against the Cowboys. Justin Jefferson will get his, I'm sure, but the number 2 cornerback in Dallas has been pretty abysmal since Jordan Lewis went down with a season-ending injury. I expect Thielen to end the day with about 6 to 8 catches for 70 to 90 and a touchdown.
Hey, and also, just because we did mention it, there was that injury to Christian Watson as well. But it doesn't look like it's going to be anything super serious. He's kind of playing it day by day right now. But we will have that more updated for you on Friday night's show, just so you know, because I know that's now that he had that breakout, everybody wants to go get him. So they might for redraft anyway. He's out there and available in some leagues. So I would go ahead and get him and hang on to him. I think he's going to be worth it the rest of the season.
And I think Randall Cobb might be back this week too. He's eligible to come back off the IR, and I think Roger said he's been working hard, so that might be a sneaky one to get. Tight end Greg Dulcich versus the Raiders. Prior to this past week's matchup, Dulcich has been coming on strong. I expect a bounce-back performance for Greg. Why is he making so much noise? I'm so sorry. When he faces the Raiders, he allowed an average of 12 points per game to opposing tight ends. The Raiders just allow points to everybody. Sorry, Rich. But Dulcich is like the one shining light for the Broncos, in my opinion. Flex, Darnell Mooney at the Falcons. Stacking Mooney in Fields this week. I'm expecting fireworks from both of these players, and we'll put money down on this week being the most productive of Mooney's 2022 season.
Hey, I just thought of a great new episode. We should do a show with Finley and Melvin. I think it would be an amazing show.
That'd be a good one. We can make all kinds of noise.
Yeah.
Sorry, duds. This has to be the dud of the year. I don't know. I know who he's talking about, but this has to be it. Russell Wilson versus the Raiders. This one is more about Russ and less about the Raiders defense. As a person who believed Russ was going to cook in Denver with Judy and Sutton to throw to, I've been extremely disappointed with his production. Russ stinks. Attaboy, chefs. I appreciate you put that in there. And he is running for dud of the year. Oh, it was. Yeah. Russell Wilson has been – it's laughable how terrible he is. Next dud QB, Kyler Murray versus the 49ers. This relies on whether or not Murray plays. If Murray doesn't play, clearly you are also sitting his backup. Murray just hasn't been the reliable fantasy asset we believed he'd be this season, and the 49ers have his number. My confidence level is low here, and I'm finding another option at QB if I can. Same here, and I have to bench him. But I have him in a super flex league, and it's like him and Jacoby Brissett. My team stinks. Running back Tony Pollard at the Vikings. 2 factors lead me to believe Pollard will be a dud this week. The first one being Zeke should be back and he'll eat into some of Pollard's touches. The second being the Vikings play the run well and have allowed the 6 fewest points to running backs through the first 10 weeks of the season. Yeah, Pollard looked really good last week, but yeah, it kind of stinks when Zeke is healthy and back. So next running back, DeAndre Swift at the Giants. The Lions' rushing attack has been hard to predict since Swift returned from injury. Swift touched the ball 5 times in week 9, 7 times in week 10. I expect Swift's workload to increase this week, but I also expect him to have tough sledding against the strong Giants rush defense that has been playing lights out since the return of Leonard Williams. Yeah, that team. I've Swift and Williams in a couple leagues. I've started both of them before because it's like I don't think Dan Campbell knows what he's doing, so they don't either.
Well, that's how I am with Zeke and Pollard. I have both of them in several leagues, and
yeah,
I have to start both of them when Zeke is healthy and playing.
Yeah, So wide receiver AJ Brown at the Colts. AJ Brown has been strong overall has had strong overall numbers, but if you look at his game by game production, it's been a bit inconsistent. Brown had a few monster games, a few average games, and some below average games. AJ Brown has not been matchup proof. The Colts are only giving up 19 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers, which is second best in the league. Expect a below average week from Brown, just like last night. I added that little part because he didn't do very good last night. Garrett Wilson against the Patriots. Garrett Wilson totaled 115 yards on 6 receptions last time he faced the Patriots and scored the second most points, 17. Wide receivers scored against the Patriots this season. I think there will be a different outcome this week. The Patriots have defended the pass well, and Mr. Wilson will be the focal point for Belichick and that Patriots defense this week. Tight end Tyler Higbee at the Saints. Tyler Higbee is coming off his second best outing of the season, but don't let that distract you from the fact he threw up back-to-back dead performances prior to week 10. This week, Tyler's heading to New Orleans, and he'll face the Saints defense that doesn't allow opposing tight ends to get anything done. And is John Wolford quarterback again?
I mean, I don't think so. I think it's probably gonna go back to Stafford. Stafford was in the concussion protocol, and from all points all signs were pointing towards things were going well during the protocol. It's just that it happened at a certain point during the week that he didn't have enough time to get through all of the protocol to be able to play. So I think he's going to be fine. I think Stafford's going to be back and playing again. But either way, I still kind of agree with this particular red call.
To be honest, I think about anybody on the Rams is a dud now.
Yeah, and losing Cooper Kupp just changes everything. Like everything shifted, and it's bad.
I love Van Jefferson. He's not a number one receiver. Flex dud, Donta Foreman at the Ravens. Foreman has been an absolute godsend for fantasy managers since taking over the starting role for Christian McCaffrey's departure. Sorry. That being said, the bulk of the damage done by Foreman was against the Falcons in both matchups they've had with the Panthers in Week 8 and Week 10. This week he'll be heading to what I expect to be a late season atmosphere in Baltimore. The Ravens are clicking, and their run defense has been bolstered by the addition of Roquan Smith, and they'll shut down Foreman this week. Yeah, definitely.
Very good. All right. I've been saving this one.
I was pumped to read this earlier.
What's that?
I was pumped when I read this earlier. It got me all excited.
Yep. So this is our slow your roll or you're all in segment. So in this segment, we either talk about something that we're kind of whoa and back on, or something that we're going to roll with. So I think it's a sign that Nate got to return to join us this week. And because it's a sign and we've got the good vibes going here, his Packers are going to win against the Titans this week. And my Colts are going to pull off the unexpected win against the Eagles after proving that they can run the football. They can stay with anybody when they run the football. And we saw last night that the Washington Commanders were able to run the football against the Eagles, and they were able to pull off a win. I get that maybe certain aspects of their team might be better than certain aspects of our team, and vice versa, though, that maybe the Colts aren't getting enough credit for. But I got to tell you, I'm feeling good about it. This will pull the Colts to within a game of the Titans for the division. I know they only beat the 3-win Raiders in Week 10. I get that. But they played the style of play that their team has been built for to win football games. And this is the style that I've been looking for them to try to play for the last 2 years in a row now. Now, under the highest winning percentage head coach in NFL history, currently at 100%, Jeff Saturday, I'm all in on the roller coaster ride of this team finally completing this turnaround and winning this division. I know they're going to come back on this. I know they're going to win this division. I'm that confident just because running the football changes the entire face of this entire team. You keep the game close. You keep the opposing quarterback on the bench. You You're clock managing and game managing, and you get to dictate who's in and out of the game. You can play the hurry up and keep their defense out there with the defense that best fits your advantages. Um, you can do so much more when you run the football. It opens up the play action, which is, let's face it, that's what Matt Ryan is now. He's a play action quarterback. He's not.
He's a running quarterback. He looks really good on that that keeper.
I think he looked just as surprised as the fans did. But no. So I'm pumped. I'm jacked about my team again. That's my slow your roll or you're all in. Nate, can you read Coach's slow your roll or you're all in?
Yeah, I think he wrote this for me. I'm all in on Nick Chubb to finish RB1 this season. I've been saying that for 3 years? Since you've known me, I probably said that Nick Chubb's the RB1, right? He's currently RB2, and Deshaun Watson will be arriving for the Browns week 13. I believe Watson's mobility as well as increased production in the pass game will force defenses to play Chubb differently and likely allow for bigger gains on the ground. Yeah, he was I think he only had like 60-some yards last week, didn't hit his over, did score a touchdown, but when they fall behind like they did against the Dolphins, which a lot of people do, it's hard to run the ball. And in my opinion, with the Browns for the rest of the year, they're done, but they're going to see what they have, so obviously Watson's going to be out there, like it or not. We're not here to talk about that. But I'm just excited to see how Chubb does. That's all I care about, that team. So this is my all in. I actually thought about something else I should have said now, but doesn't matter. So I'm all in for running the darn football. Like Justin said, he was pumped to see his team run the ball. I was pumped to see my team run the ball. And it's actually really funny because I said this isn't necessarily just for the Packers or Justin's Colts. We both ran the ball for 207 yards last week, by the way, which is funny. They finally ran the football.
Does that include the quarterbacks?
That was team stats, rushing yards, 207 yards.
Okay, cool. Nice.
So, which made me laugh even more when I wrote it down. I was like, that's wild. But when you run the ball, you control the clock, take you take heat off your quarterback. Who doesn't matter who it is. It's nice to be able to run the ball, open the play action pass, and they won a big game because of it. When you average over 3.5 yards a carry on first down and second down, I think that gets you to like 3rd and 3. Not a very good math guy, but that's about right. Right.
Yeah. That's the sweet spot.
Yeah. And, short third downs are what makes for a better third down efficiency. Those 3rd and 8s, when you throw the ball deep on first down and then do something dumb on second down, like the Packers do so often, that you're not going to convert third downs. So, and give your defense a rest because it's huge. Last night, what the Commanders defense was on the field for maybe 20 minutes. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
But,
because they were
running the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So what was the one thing that you came up with? You said you thought of something. We got a little bit of time here.
So it wasn't more like, it's hard to say how it's whether all in it, the letting teams hang around, it just kills everything you do. I guess I'm all in on just scoring points. Stop being okay with being up by 14, or whatever.
Okay.
Because
so you want to slow your roll on prevent defense?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with that. And stop. The Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions all came back from double-digit deficits in the 4th quarter. How do you let that happen?
Yeah, and doesn't it seem like we've been saying that since we've started watching football? Doesn't it seem like it happens all the time?
It's like they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings by scoring another touchdown. It's like, what are you doing? Beat them by 40.
Or keep everything in balance so we can let the clock run. No, stop them now. Get the ball back, and we can run the ball and run the clock out.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I'm with you. I get so frustrated. That and running a 2-yard out when you need 4 yards. What the hell?
Yeah, where the sticks are. Go past them.
Right.
Where the sticks are.
And if they're there defending it and you don't get it, okay, well, you weren't going to get it at 2 yards anyway. I don't know.
Like I said, it's happened year after year, and I always thought it was a Packers thing, but it's not. It's every single team. It's like they get, oh, hey, we're up 14. Let's just coast. Let's do something cool. It's like, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
When you're up by 40, you can do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Who cares, man? We're grown men. Beat them into the ground.
All right, so this time next week, I want to read coaches first, from last week. So last week, Coach said George Pickens is the new wide receiver 1 in Pittsburgh. So I went back and took a look at their stats. Pickens had 3 catches on 4 targets for 32 yards, but he also had 2 carries for 23 yards and a touchdown. Deontay did beat him on the receiving end, 4 catches for 5 targets for 63 yards. But I think the key here, and kind of what Coach is getting at, he wasn't wrong. Like they're getting Pickens more and more involved, and now they're finding other ways to get him involved. 23 yards on 2 carries for a wide receiver means it was designated, it was set up. They've practiced it because it worked to perfection for him to get 23 yards and a touchdown. So they're finding ways to work him in, and if he's not officially on the depth chart, he definitely will be by next season. And Pickens is just a good raw talent. So real
quick about the
yeah.
Steelers. I have something laughable to say about the Steelers. So George Pickens, 1-yard touchdown run. Kenny Pickett, 1-yard touchdown run. Their longest scoring play of the year, 8 yards.
Wow, nice.
That's it. I heard that on the radio and I was dying laughing. I'm like, that's not real. But yeah.
Well, my Najee Harris shares can verify that. They can.
He has been
ridiculous.
That's just laughable, and I'm sorry for that. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Like, not even a 10-yard touchdown run, like, or a pass, not even 10-yard pass. Like, that's their longest play, 8-yard touchdown.
Yeah. Last week, my prediction for this week was going to be that with the Packers' 6th loss in a row this week against the Cowboys, so obviously I got that wrong, and a 3-7 record overall this season. Matt LaFleur is now on the hot seat in only his 3rd season with the Packers. I kind of felt like there were going to be rumors this week because I didn't think that Matt LaFleur was going to be smart enough to run the football, right? Like they haven't been consistent enough. Him and Frank Reich, they haven't been consistent enough to guarantee me that they were going to run the football. He did the right thing this week. He bought himself some more time against a big opponent who happens to be their former head coach. So obviously that's going to bode well to the powers to be for the Packers. So I feel like he probably bought himself some more time. We'll probably at least see him for the rest of the season now. But yeah,
call him something else on Wednesday nights. It definitely starts with an L, A, and an F, but there's a couple other letters after it.
yeah, not as many letters as lure.
That's what I call it, guys.
So this week's predictions. My prediction, I pretty much said it in the last segment, so I'm not gonna, really break it down again. But essentially, Packers over the Titans and Colts over the Eagles. I'm calling both of those. If you just straight bet money line on that, go ahead and tie them together. They call that a parlay, right? Can it be a parlay if it's only 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So we got a two game parlay. If you have to add in a third, then
Cowboys.
The Lions are going to lose.
I was taking the Cowboys.
Okay. Well, there's 4. All right, there's 4. Yeah. You're guaranteed to win those. All right.
Yeah.
Coach said, who exactly are the Dallas Cowboys after losing to the Packers and then beating the Vikings this week? Are they contenders or pretenders? He feels like that's what we're going to be saying next week. And yeah, like I think they're contenders, period. Like I've kind of felt like that most of the season, even whenever they were kind of down a couple of games. It's just like with my Colts. It's like these Cowboys tend to play down to their down opponents. They play up to their up opponents, and they make every game super close, like way too close. Let's see, Nate, what do you got? What's your prediction for this week?
So I don't know I guess it's kind of a prediction. Mainly I'm saying we're going to find out if coaches actually pay attention to their previous games and what worked or didn't, i.e. like the Colts, the Packers, the Bills, and the Cowboys. Because the Packers have not done anything well forever. They finally run the ball and win a football game. Let's see if like we do that again. Same with Jeff Saturday. Let's see if he runs the football and wins a football game.
Yeah. And some fans will think back and they'll say, well, it kind of depends on the defense you're playing and the schemes that they're giving you. But in this situation, no. Like these teams are built to do this certain thing. It doesn't matter who your opponent is. If you can't go into it with a game plan and keep your game plan that you have set up to win that game, you can't just adjust on the fly and have a totally different setup because your team isn't set up that way. And these coaches always try to overthink it and think that their system's better. It drives me insane.
I mean, let's be honest. So the Commanders last night, just kept running the ball. They averaged, I just looked it up, 3.1 yards per rush. That's not good, but when you just keep doing it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, just keep going because it's going to work. They ran for 152 yards against a very good defense that they probably had no business running for that many yards against, but they kept running the football because that's what works. I just, like I said, those things are just, they blow your mind that, like, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. So
Liam Backus here, not Liam Neeson, but Liam Backus says that he just traded Foreman and Palmer for Godwin. He said, I get Godwin, W or L. I'll be honest with you, I don't think so. I kind of like the Foreman side. I think, okay, so I guess if you have the running backs, I'm assuming if you have Foreman and you're trading them away, you probably have the running backs. You probably have the depth. So if that's the case and you needed a wide receiver, definitely Godwin over Palmer. And Godwin's starting to come around. He's starting to put it together. Like just like he said in the postgame show the other night in the postgame interview, he said he was coming along and he's been coming along. So
I like my thing with Godwin. Well, it was, and with Josh Palmer, like Mike Williams might be back this week. Keenan Allen's probably going to be back. So I think Josh Palmer's going to kind of lose snaps, lose targets. That's why I'm kind of out on him. But Foreman, it's just, who knows what's going to happen. I don't know. I just think Tom Brady and the Bucs kind of look like they're starting to like get going again.
So is this a play on an OG by saying that every play caller has to show what an OG genius they are?
I to be honest, and I've said it before on our show, like on Wednesdays, like it feels like some of these coaches, it's like it's not situational. They're just like, it's like they're playing Madden. It's like, hey, and you can't do that. Like, I'm sorry, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Is that why McCarthy goes for it on fourth down like all the time?
Dude, he's not the only one, guy. It's funny. 10 years ago, if you went for on fourth down this much and you didn't get it, you'd be fired.
Yep.
Gone. That's like, well, hey, good try. But like, let's be honest, that's a turnover on the score sheet. It doesn't say it, but it's a turnover.
Yep.
So,
all right. So I think that pretty much about wraps it up. We got to get ready for the next show that's coming on right after us. So please make sure that you stay tuned for the guys, Nino and Jared, for their Tuesday night show, H2H. It's an IDP show, defensive show.
They're awesome, by the way.
They do so much research for that show and for just everything in general. Like it blows my mind. Like how in the world we could get such smart guys to come and work on this network.
It's wild. It's wild.
But anyway, you guys can check us out at JustinFF_ and at Nate_Dirt19. At ToiletsToTitles is the show Twitter handle. Down there at the bottom, you see that scroll. Again, please give us that subscription on YouTube if you haven't already. Give us that 5-star review on Apple if you haven't already. Definitely start subscribing on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already. And all the other places down there at the bottom of the screen there. Appreciate you very much. Those $5 squares, make sure you play that game. That's going to be a lot of fun. It gives you something else to look forward to on top of the pumpkin pie. I want to thank Nate and Finley for coming on today. It's been a heck of a fun time. It's been way too long since we've been on a show together, man. We are two of the three founding fathers of the network, the OGs on the show, and I can't say enough good things about you, Nate.
Yeah, dude, it felt so like it was just so much fun. I've been excited all day long for this. So it was a blast. I can't wait. Hopefully, sometime in the next couple weeks, things slow down a little bit. I'll get back on here and we'll have the trio back together. So, hey, tomorrow night, check us out, 9:30. I know Justin likes listening to it, not in the classroom because it says some bad things, but yeah, check us out.
Right on.